The engine room of the starship Hansong was always hot. Taemin wiped sweat from his forehead as he walked between the massive machines. He was only 15 years old, but he knew every corner of this place. His father, Hyunwoo, was the chief mechanic. Taemin had grown up here, learning how to fix the engines that kept their ship flying through space. It was late at night. Most of the crew was sleeping. Taemin liked these quiet hours. He could walk around without anyone asking him to help with work. He was supposed to be in bed too, but he could not sleep. Something felt different tonight. He walked past the main reactor and toward the backup systems. That is when he saw it. Behind a pile of old equipment, something was glowing. Soft blue light pulsed in the darkness. Taemin moved closer. His heart beat faster. It was an egg. But not like any egg he had ever seen. It was as big as his head, and it looked like it was made of crystal. Beautiful patterns of light moved across its surface like waves on water. The colors changed from blue to purple to green. Taemin reached out slowly and touched it. The surface was warm. He looked around. How did an egg get here? Who left it? The engine room was deep inside the ship. No one came here except the mechanics. Taemin carefully picked up the egg. It was heavier than he expected. He held it close to his chest and felt it vibrate gently, like a soft heartbeat. The next morning, Taemin took the egg to the science department. Dr. Jiwon was the first person to see it. Her eyes went wide. She called other scientists. Soon a whole group was standing around the egg, talking in excited voices. Dr. Hae-in, the senior scientist who studied alien life, examined the egg carefully. He used special machines to scan it. After an hour, he shook his head. His face looked sad. "The egg is dead," he said. "There is no life inside. Whatever was in there died a long time ago. It is just a beautiful shell now." Taemin felt his stomach drop. He looked at the egg. The light still moved across it. How could it be dead if it was still glowing? "Can I keep it?" Taemin asked. Dr. Hae-in shrugged. "It is just a shell." "I suppose so. We have recorded all the data. You can take it." Taemin carried the egg back to his small room. He placed it on his bed and sat next to it. He did not believe the scientists. Something inside him said the egg was still alive. He could feel it. That night, Taemin made a decision. If there was any chance the egg was alive, it needed warmth. He remembered learning that many Earth animals needed the right temperature to hatch. Maybe this egg was the same. He went to the storage room where old equipment was kept. He found some heating coils that were used for emergency repairs. He was not supposed to take them, but he did not care. He carefully wrapped the coils around the egg and connected them to a small power source. The egg began to warm up. For 3 days, Taemin kept the egg warm. He checked on it every few hours. He talked to it, telling it about his day. He told it about the stars they passed and the planets they visited. He felt silly talking to an egg, but it made him feel better. His father noticed something was wrong. "Taemin, you look tired," Hyunwoo said. "Are you sleeping well?" Taemin lied and said he was fine. He could not tell his father about the egg. His father would make him return the heating coils. On the third night, Taemin was woken by a sound. It was a soft cracking noise. He jumped out of bed and turned on the light. The egg was moving. Small cracks appeared on its surface. The blue light grew brighter. Taemin held his breath. His hand shook as he watched. More cracks appeared. Pieces of the shell fell away. Then a small head pushed through. It was a dragon, a tiny dragon with silver scales that shined like metal. Its eyes were bright gold. It looked at Taemin and made a small chirping sound. The dragon was no bigger than a cat. Its wings were folded against its body. It had small horns on its head and a long tail. Taemin slowly reached out his hand. The dragon sniffed his fingers. Then it climbed onto his hand and up his arm. It settled on his shoulder and rubbed its head against his cheek. The dragon made a happy purring sound. "Hello," Taemin whispered. "Welcome to the world," the dragon chirped again. It seemed to understand him. Taemin felt tears in his eyes. He was right. The egg was alive. And now this beautiful creature was here. He needed a name for the dragon. He thought for a moment. The dragon scales looked like stars. In Korean, star was Byul. That was perfect. "Your name is Byul," he said. The dragon looked at him with those golden eyes. It chirped 3 times as if saying yes. Taemin knew he had to tell someone. He could not hide a dragon forever, but for tonight he just wanted to enjoy this moment. He sat on his bed with Byul on his lap. The dragon curled up and closed its eyes. Soon it was asleep, breathing softly. Taemin stayed awake watching Biol sleep. He had no idea how much his life was about to change. He had no idea that this small dragon would change everything for humanity. All he knew was that he had saved a life, and that life now trusted him completely. Outside his window, the stars moved past. The Hanxiang continued its journey through space. Somewhere far away, ancient machines detected what had happened. They recorded the activation of one of their creations. After millions of years of waiting, a dragon had finally bonded with a worthy soul. The machine sent signals across the galaxy. Other eggs began to wake up. They began to search for others like Taemin, others who would care for them, others who would be worthy, but Taemin knew none of this. He just knew he had a friend now, a very special friend. He smiled and finally let himself fall asleep. Biol stayed curled on his chest, her silver scales rising and falling with each breath. The bond between them was already forming. It would become stronger than either of them could imagine. The next morning, Taemin woke up to find Biol still sleeping on his chest. The small dragon was warm and heavy. When Taemin tried to move, Biol opened one golden eye and made a soft sound. The dragon did not want him to leave. "I have to get up," Taemin said softly. "I need to get you some food." Biol finally climbed off him. The dragon followed Taemin everywhere he went. When Taemin brushed his teeth, Biol sat on the sink. When Taemin got dressed, Biol watched from the bed. The dragon did not want to be away from him for even a second. Taemin knew he had to tell someone about Biol. He could not hide a dragon forever. He decided to tell his father first. Hyunwoo was in the engine room checking the systems like he did every morning. "Father," Taemin said nervously, "I need to show you something." Hyunwoo turned around. His eyes went wide when he saw the small silver dragon on Taemin's shoulder. He dropped the tool he was holding. It hit the floor with a loud clang. "What is that?" Hyunwoo asked in a shocked voice. "This is Biol," Taemin said. "She hatched from the egg I found. The scientists said that egg was dead." "They were wrong," Taemin said. Soon everyone on the ship knew about Biol. Captain Da-eun came to see the dragon herself. She was a tall woman with short black hair and a serious face. She looked at Biol for a long time. "We need to study this creature," the captain said. "Take it to the science department." "Her name is Biol," Taemin said. "Not it." The captain looked at him. "Fine. Take Biol to the science department. We need to understand what she is." Dr. Hae-in was very excited when he saw that the egg had hatched. He wanted to run tests on Biol right away, but Biol would not cooperate. When the scientist tried to take her from Taemin, she hissed and spread her small wings. She showed her tiny, sharp teeth. "It is okay," Taemin said to Biol. "They just want to make sure you are healthy." Biol calmed down when Taemin spoke, but she still would not let the scientist touch her. Finally, Dr. Hae-in said that Taemin would have to stay with Biol during the tests. The tests showed that Biol was very healthy. She was growing fast. Every day she got a little bigger. But the scientists noticed something strange. Biol would not eat unless Taemin fed her. They tried giving her different kinds of food. They tried having other people feed her. Biol refused everything unless it came from Taemin's hand. Dr. Ji-won thought this was interesting. "It is imprinting," she said. "Many baby animals bond with the first creature they see. Biol thinks Taemin is her parent, but Dr. Hae-in was not so sure. This seems like more than simple imprinting," he said. "I have never seen a bond this strong." The real problem started at night. Biol refused to sleep unless she was with Taemin. On the third night after hatching, Captain Da-eun ordered that Biol be kept in the science lab. She said it was not proper for a creature they knew nothing about to sleep in crew quarters. Taemin had to say goodnight to Biol and leave her in a special cage. Biol cried and scratched at the bars. The sound was terrible. It made Taemin's heart hurt. But he had to follow orders. An hour later, alarms started going off all over the ship. Strange sounds were disrupting the ship's systems. The communications were full of static. The navigation systems were going crazy. Engineers ran around trying to find the problem. Then someone realized the sounds were coming from the science lab. It was Biol. She was making distress calls so loud and so strange that they were affecting the ship's electronics. The sounds were not just noise. They were some kind of energy signal. Captain Da-eun called Taemin to the lab. When Taemin arrived, Biol immediately stopped crying. She pressed against the bars of the cage trying to reach him. Her golden eyes looked so sad. "Take her," the captain said. Just make her stop. Taemin opened the cage. Biol jumped into his arms. She wrapped herself around his neck and purred. The ship's systems immediately returned to normal. For a week, things went back to normal. Biol slept with Taemin every night. During the day, she followed him everywhere. She was growing bigger. Now she was the size of a large dog. Her silver scales had become harder and shinier, but Captain Daun was not happy. She thought Taemin and Biol needed to be separated. A creature should not have this much control over a human, she said. We need to break this bond, Dr. Heian agreed. He designed a special room for Biol. It had everything a dragon might need. Soft places to sleep, plenty of food, toys, heat lamps, everything except Taemin. They moved Biol into the room while Taemin was working in the engine room. When Taemin came back and found Biol gone, he was very upset. He ran to the science department. He found Biol in the special room, pressed against the glass door. She was crying. This is for the best, Dr. Heian said. She needs to learn independence. Taemin was forced to leave. That night he could not sleep. He worried about Biol. Was she scared? Was she lonely? He felt like part of him was missing. The next morning, Dr. Ji-won called for help. Something was wrong with Biol. When they opened the special room, they found Biol lying on the floor. She was not moving. Her scales had lost their shine. Her breathing was weak. What is wrong with her? Captain Daun demanded. Dr. Ji-won scanned Biol with medical equipment. I do not understand, she said. All her vital signs are shutting down. It is like she is dying. But there is no disease, no injury. She is just giving up. Someone ran to get Taemin. When he arrived and saw Biol lying there, he fell to his knees beside her. Biol, he said. Wake up! Please wake up! Biol's eye opened slightly. She made a weak sound. Taemin picked her up carefully. She felt cold. He held her close to his chest, sharing his warmth. Tears ran down his face. I am here, he whispered. I am here. Please do not leave me. Slowly, color began to return to Biol's scales. Her breathing became stronger. She pressed her head against Taemin's chest. The bond between them was not just emotional. It was physical. It was essential. Without Taemin, Biol could not survive. Captain Daun watched this. Her face was serious. Fine, she said. They stay together. But we need answers. We need to understand what this creature is and why this bond exists. Dr. Heian, make this your top priority. Dr. Heian nodded, but inside he was worried. He had studied many alien species. He had never seen anything like this. Dragons were supposed to be fierce and independent. They were apex predators. Why would this dragon need a human boy so much? What was the purpose of such a bond? He had a feeling they were about to discover something very important. Something that would change everything they knew about humans and their place in the galaxy. News of Biol spread across the galaxy faster than light. Within days, every major civilization knew that humanity had activated a progenitor guardian. The reaction was exactly what Dr. Heian had predicted. Some species were amazed, others were jealous, and many were angry. The Vraxians were the most vocal. They sent a formal complaint to the Galactic Council. They claimed that the Hanseong had used an illegal weapon against them. They said that the dragon was too dangerous to be controlled by humans. They demanded that the Council take Biol away from humanity. The Galactic Council was the governing body for all spacefaring civilizations. It had representatives from hundreds of species. Some had been traveling the stars for millions of years. Humans had only joined the Council 50 years ago. They were the youngest members, the least respected. Captain Daun received orders from Earth Command. She was to take the Hanseong to the Council's headquarters. She was to bring Taemin and Biol. They would have to defend their right to keep the dragon. The journey took 2 weeks. During that time, Taemin tried to prepare himself. He had never been good at public speaking. He was just a mechanic's son. How could he stand before the greatest minds in the galaxy and convince them of anything? His father tried to encourage him. Just tell them the truth, Hyunwoo said. Tell them about finding the egg, about keeping it warm, about how Biol hatched. The truth is powerful, but Taemin was scared. What if the Council decided to take Biol away? What if they said humans were not worthy? He could not imagine life without Biol now. She was part of him. Biol sensed his fear. She stayed close to him constantly. She nuzzled his hand and made comforting sounds. She did not understand politics or councils. She only understood that Taemin was upset, and that made her upset too. Finally, They arrived at the council headquarters. It was a massive space station orbiting a white star. Ships from across the galaxy were docked there. Taman saw vessels he had only read about in books. Some were organic, grown rather than built. Others were made of light itself. The diversity was overwhelming. Captain Da-un led a small group to the council chambers. Taman, his father, Dr. Hai-In, Dr. Ji-Wan, and several security officers, and of course Biol. The dragon walked beside Taemin, her silver scales gleaming under the station's lights. Other beings stopped to stare at her. Some pointed, some took pictures, some backed away in fear. The council chambers were enormous. The ceiling was so high that Taemin could barely see it. Seats rose in circular tiers like an amphitheater. Representatives from hundreds of species sat in those seats. Taemin recognized some of them from his studies. The crystalline luminari, the gaseous Vortians, the ancient tree-like arboreals, and many others he had never seen before. In the center of the chamber was a platform. That was where Taemin would have to stand. His legs felt weak as he walked to it. Biol stayed right beside him, her presence giving him strength. The council speaker called the session to order. She was a luminari, a being made of living crystal that pulsed with inner light. Her voice echoed through the chamber. "We are here to address the complaint filed by the Vraxian Empire," she said. "They claim that humanity has gained control of a progenitor weapon. They argue that humans are too young and too violent to be trusted with such power. The Vraxians request that the dragon be placed under council control." The Vraxian representative stood. He was a large warrior with a scarred shell. He spoke with a harsh, clicking voice. "Humans are barbaric," he said. "They still fight wars among themselves. They destroy their own planet. They have been in space for less than 1,000 years. How can such a species be trusted with progenitor technology? The dragon attacked our warriors. It used a weapon we could not defend against. This proves humans will use the dragon for conquest." Other representatives murmured in agreement. Taemin felt his heart sink. They had already decided. They thought humans were not worthy. But then Captain Da-Yun stepped forward. "With respect," she said, "the Vraxians attacked us first. We were on a rescue mission. They violated our right to passage. They boarded our ship with armed warriors. The dragon only defended us. She did not kill anyone. She merely disabled the attackers. If we truly wanted to use the dragon as a weapon of conquest, would we not have destroyed the Vraxian ship?" The council speaker considered this. "Your point is noted, but the question remains. Why did the progenitor dragon activate for humans? What made your species worthy?" Before Captain Da-Un could answer, Taemin spoke. His voice was quiet at first, but it grew stronger. "I can answer that." All eyes turned to him. The council speaker gestured for him to continue. Taemin took a deep breath. "I found Biol's egg in the engine room of our ship. I brought it to our scientists. They examined it and said it was dead. Everyone else gave up on it. But I could not. I saw the light still moving on the egg. I thought maybe there was still a chance. So I kept the egg warm. I talked to it, I hoped. Not because I wanted power. Not because I wanted a weapon. Just because I did not want something to die when maybe I could save it." He paused. His hand rested on Biol's head. She leaned into his touch. "When Biol hatched, I was happy. Not because she was powerful, just because she was alive. I named her Biol, it means star, because her scales shine like stars. She is not a weapon to me. She is my friend. My family." The chamber was silent. Taemin looked up at all the ancient beings staring down at him. "The progenitors left a message in Biol's scales," he continued. "They said the dragons would activate for species that showed compassion, that protected the weak, that valued life even when there was no reward. I did not know about any of that when I saved the egg. I just knew it needed help, and I could help. Is that not what any good person would do?" An arboreal representative spoke, her voice like rustling leaves. "The boy speaks wisdom beyond his years. Compassion without expectation of reward. That is the mark of a worthy soul." But the Vraxian was not convinced. One human showed compassion. "That does not mean all humans are worthy." "What of their wars? Their violence?" Taemin nodded. "We are not perfect. Yes, we have wars. Yes, we make mistakes. But we are learning. We are trying to be better. Is that not what matters? That we try? Every species here was young once. Did you not make mistakes?" The progenitors did not look for perfect species. They looked for species with the potential to grow, to learn, To choose compassion even when it is hard, the council speaker's crystal form pulsed thoughtfully. The boy makes a compelling argument. The question before us is not whether humans are perfect. It is whether they have earned this bond. The progenitors designed the eggs to choose. They chose humanity through this boy. Who are we to overrule that choice? A vote was called. Representatives from hundreds of species cast their decisions. The process took hours. Taemin stood there the whole time, holding Biol close. His father and Captain Da-Un stood beside him, offering silent support. Finally, the results were announced. By a narrow margin, the council voted to allow humanity to keep Biol. The bond would stand. Taemin felt tears of relief run down his face. Biol made happy chirping sounds. They had won. As they left the council chambers, Biol suddenly stopped. She raised her head and spread her wings wide. For the first time, her wings were fully extended. They were magnificent, stretching almost 5 meters from tip to tip. The silver scales caught the light from 100 nearby suns, creating a dazzling display. Other beings stopped to watch. Even those who had voted against humanity could not help but admire the dragon's beauty. Later that night, as they prepared to return to the Hanseong, Dr. Hai-In received a strange message. Sensors across the galaxy had detected something unusual. 3 more dragon eggs were showing signs of activation. The eggs were beginning to pulse with light. They were searching, looking for others like Taemin. Others with compassion. Others who were worthy. The news spread quickly. More dragons were waking up. And if they followed the same pattern as Biol, they would bond with humans who proved themselves worthy through simple acts of kindness. Taemin looked at Biol. She looked back at him with those golden eyes. What they had started was bigger than either of them. Humanity had been tested by the progenitors and found worthy, not because humans were strong, not because they were smart, but because they could be kind, because they could care for something weak and helpless, because they had compassion. And that, Taemin thought, was the most human thing of all. 2 weeks passed. Biol continued to grow. She was now the size of a small horse. Her wings had grown strong enough to carry her short distances. She could breathe small puffs of fire, though she only did this when playing with Taemin. The ship's crew had gotten used to seeing the silver dragon walking through the corridors with the young mechanic. Then everything changed. The Hanzong was traveling through a region of space near the border of Vraxian territory. The Vraxians were an insect-like alien race. They had hard shells, multiple arms, and large black eyes. They were known to be aggressive and territorial. Most human ships avoided their space, but the Hanseong had received distress signals from a human mining station. The fastest route to help them went through this area. Captain Da-Un decided to risk it. They would move quickly and quietly through Vraxian space. For 2 days, everything went well. Then on the 3rd day, a Vraxian warship appeared on their sensors. It was much bigger than the Hanseong. Its weapons were charged and ready. The Vraxian ship sent a message. "Human vessel, you have entered our territory without permission. This is a violation of our laws. Surrender your ship immediately." Captain Da-Un responded calmly. "We are passing through on a rescue mission. We mean no harm. We will leave your space as soon as possible." The Vraxian commander did not accept this. "You will surrender or we will take your ship by force." Captain Da-Un tried to negotiate. She explained about the distress signal. She promised they would leave quickly. But the Vraxians would not listen. They had been looking for an excuse to capture a human ship. Now they had one. "Prepare for battle," Captain Da-Un ordered. All crew to emergency stations. Alarms rang throughout the ship. People ran to their positions. Taemin was in his room with Biol when the alarm started. His father had told him to stay there and keep safe. Biol sensed something was wrong. She moved close to Taemin, protecting him with her body. Suddenly the ship shook. The Vraxians had fired their weapons. The Hanseong's shields held, but everyone knew they could not win a direct fight. The Vraxian ship was too powerful. Then something worse happened. The lights in Taemin's room flickered and went out. Emergency lights came on, casting everything in red. There were sounds of fighting in the corridors. The Vraxians had teleported soldiers onto the ship. Taemin heard footsteps running past his door, then weapons fire, screaming. His door was locked, but he knew it would not stop the Vraxians if they wanted to get in. "We need to hide," Taemin whispered to Biol. He knew the ship well. There was a maintenance shaft in his room, hidden behind a panel in the wall. It was small, but he and Bial could fit if they squeezed. He opened the panel and crawled inside. Bial followed, her scales scraping against the metal walls. They waited in the darkness. Taemin could hear his heart pounding. Bial pressed against him. Her body was tense and ready. Then they heard his door being forced open. Heavy footsteps entered the room. A Vraxian warrior was searching for them. The creature made clicking sounds as it moved around. Taemin held his breath. Please do not find us, he thought. Please. But the Vraxian was thorough. It found the open panel. Light flooded into the shaft. A large insect face appeared in the opening. Multiple eyes stared at Taemin. Sharp mandibles clicked together. The Vraxian reached in with one of its arms. It grabbed Taemin's leg and started pulling him out. Taemin tried to fight, but the creature was too strong. Then Bial moved. She pushed past Taemin in the narrow space. Her golden eyes blazed with anger. She opened her mouth and fire erupted. But this was not normal dragon fire. The flames were bright silver, the same color as Bial's scales. When the fire hit the Vraxian warrior, something strange happened. The creature did not burn. Instead, it froze in place. Its eyes went blank. Its arms dropped to its sides. It fell to the floor like a puppet with cut strings. Taemin and Bial crawled out of the shaft. The Vraxian was not dead. It was breathing. But it was completely unconscious. Its body twitched occasionally as if it was having a bad dream. What did you do? Taemin asked Bial. Bial looked at him. She seemed confused too. She looked at her own claws as if wondering about her power. They heard more fighting in the corridors. Taemin knew they could not stay in his room. They needed to find his father and the rest of the crew. They moved carefully through the ship. Twice more they encountered Vraxian warriors. Each time, Bial's silver fire knocked them unconscious. The warriors never saw it coming. They fell before they could even raise their weapons. Other crew members started noticing what was happening. Wherever Bial went, Vraxian warriors collapsed. The security teams could not understand it. The enemy soldiers were not hurt. They were just unconscious. And they all had the same strange expression on their faces, as if they were trapped in nightmares. Word spread quickly through the ship. The dragon is stopping them. Some kind of weapon. All Vraxian warriors near the dragon are falling. Captain Dayun heard the reports from the bridge. At first, she did not believe them. But the evidence was clear. Every Vraxian within 50 meters of the dragon's fire was unconscious. The attack was failing. The Vraxian commander on the warship realized something was wrong too. His soldiers were not responding. He tried to call them back, but it was too late. The remaining warriors retreated to their transport points and teleported back to their ship. Captain Dayun sent a message to the Vraxian ship. Leave now or we will use our secret weapon again. The Vraxians had no idea what the weapon was. They had never seen anything like it. Fear is a powerful thing. The Vraxian warship turned and fled into deep space. The crew of the Hanseong cheered. They had survived. But everyone was asking the same question. What had Bial done? How had her fire stopped the Vraxians without killing them? Taemin found his father in the engine room. Hyunwoo hugged his son tightly. I was so worried, he said. Thank the stars you're safe. Bial saved us, Taemin said. She saved everyone. Captain Dayun called an emergency meeting. All senior officers and scientists gathered. The unconscious Vraxian warriors were being held in the cargo bay. Dr. Hae-in had been studying them. I need to examine the dragon, Dr. Hae-in said. Whatever she did, it was not just fire. It was something else. Something I have never seen before. Captain Dayun nodded. Do it. We need to understand what we are dealing with. If the Vraxians come back, we need to know if the dragon can protect us again. But there was something else in the captain's eyes. Something like fear. They had a weapon now. A powerful weapon. A weapon that no one understood. And that was dangerous, because weapons you do not understand can be used against you as easily as for you. Taemin stood with Bial in the meeting room. The dragon seemed tired after using her power. She leaned against Taemin for support. He stroked her silver scales gently. He did not care what anyone said. Bial was not a weapon. She was his friend, his family, and he would protect her just as she had protected him. Dr. Hae-in worked day and night studying Bial's fire. He collected samples from the places where the silver flames had touched the walls. He ran tests on the unconscious Vraxian warriors. What he discovered shocked him. This is not biological fire, he told Captain Dayun. It is not chemical. It is something completely different. What do you mean? The captain asked. Dr. Hayen showed her his findings. The fire contains microscopic machines. Nanotechnology. When the silver flames touched the Vraxians, billions of tiny machines entered their bodies. These machines disrupted the neural interfaces that the Vraxians used to control their technology. Without those interfaces, the Vraxians could not function. They collapsed. Captain Darwin stared at the data. Nanotechnology? Where did it come from? From the dragon, Dr. Hayen said. But that is impossible. Nanotechnology this advanced does not exist. Not in our civilization. Not in any civilization we know. This technology is millions of years beyond anything we have seen. Dr. Jiwan joined the investigation. She studied Biol's scales using powerful microscopes. What she found was incredible. The scales were not just organic material. They contained layers of technology so small and complex that human science could barely detect it. There is data here, Dr. Jiwan said excitedly. Information encoded in the structure of the scales themselves. If we can read it, we might understand what Biol really is. It took 3 days to develop a way to read the data. During that time, the crew of the Hansong continued their journey. The unconscious Vraxian warriors were placed in medical stasis. They would eventually wake up, but for now they posed no threat. Taemin stayed close to Biol. He could sense that she was nervous about all the tests. He held her head in his lap and talked softly to her. It is okay, he said. They just want to understand you. No one will hurt you. I promise, Biol trusted him. She stayed calm during the scans and tests. But her eyes always followed Taemin. Whenever he left the room, even for a minute, she became restless. Finally, Dr. Jiwan succeeded in decoding the information. She called everyone to the science lab. Her hands were shaking as she showed them what she had found. These dragons are not natural creatures, she said. They were created, designed, by a civilization so advanced that we can barely comprehend their technology. Who created them? Captain Daon asked. Dr. Jiwan displayed images on the screen. They showed star systems that no longer existed. Planets that had been destroyed billions of years ago. We are calling them the progenitors, she said. They existed long before any current civilization. They were the first intelligent life in this galaxy, and they were unimaginably powerful. Dr. Hayen continued the explanation. The progenitors saw what happened to young civilizations, how they fought each other, how they destroyed themselves before they could reach their full potential. So the progenitors created the dragons as guardians, living weapons designed to protect worthy species. What makes a species worthy? Someone asked. Dr. Jiwan pulled up more data. The dragon eggs were programmed with specific criteria. They would only hatch for a species that showed compassion, selflessness, the ability to care for something weak and helpless. The eggs were scattered across the galaxy, waiting. Some have waited billions of years. So Biol hatched because Taemin warmed her egg, Captain Dayun said. Because he showed compassion? Exactly, Dr. Hayen said. When the scientists declared the egg dead, they gave up on it. But Taemin did not. He refused to believe it was dead. He kept it warm. He cared for it. That selfless act triggered the egg's activation sequence. Everyone turned to look at Taemin. He felt his face grow hot with embarrassment. I just did not want the egg to die, he said quietly. Dr. Jiwan smiled. That is exactly the point. You did it without expecting anything in return. Pure compassion. That is what the progenitors were looking for. But there is more, Dr. Hayen said. The bond between Taemin and Biol is not just emotional. It is biological and technological. Biol's systems are literally connected to Taemin's bioelectric signature. She uses his presence to regulate her defensive systems. His heartbeat, his brain waves, his very existence is part of how she functions. So that is why she cannot sleep without him, Captain Dayun said. She needs him to survive, yes, Dr. Hayen confirmed. And the bond works both ways. Taemin's body has adapted to Biol's presence. His nervous system has formed new connections. Separating them now would be harmful to both of them. Taemin looked at Biol. She looked back at him with those golden eyes. He had always felt the connection, but now he understood it was real. They were truly linked. Forever. Dr. Jiwan continued. There is one more thing. The data in Biol's scales contains a message. From the progenitors. They left it for whoever activated a dragon. She played the message. It was not in any known language, but the ship's computer translated it. The voice was ancient and kind. To whoever finds this message, you have proven yourself worthy. You have shown that your species values life, that you will protect the weak, that you have compassion even when there is no reward. The galaxy is dangerous. Many will try to destroy you because of these qualities. They will see compassion as weakness, but it is your greatest strength. This guardian will protect you. But remember, the guardian is not a weapon. It is a partner, a friend. Treat it with the same kindness you showed when you saved it, and your species will thrive among the stars. The message ended. Everyone in the room was quiet. The weight of what they had learned pressed down on them. Humanity had been given a gift from a civilization that had disappeared long before humans even existed. Captain Daun broke the silence. We need to report this to Earth Command. They need to know what we have discovered, but we should be careful, Dr. Hayen warned. When other species find out about this, there will be reactions. Some will be happy for us. Others will be jealous. And some will be afraid. Why afraid? Someone asked. Because, Dr. Hayen said, humanity is the youngest species in the galaxy. We have only been in space for a few hundred years, and now we have access to progenitor technology. Technology that older species have been searching for billions of years. They will not like that. Captain Daun understood. She had seen how other species looked at humans. With barely hidden contempt, they thought humans were primitive, barbaric. Now those same species would have to accept that humans had been chosen by the progenitors. Send the message to Earth, she ordered. Encrypt it with the highest security, and prepare for whatever comes next. That night, Taman lay in his bed with Biol curled beside him. He thought about everything he had learned. About the progenitors, about the test, about the bond that now connected him and Biol forever. Are you scared? He whispered to Biol. Biol made a soft sound. She was not scared. She had Taman. That was all she needed. Taman smiled. He was not scared either. Whatever happened, they would face it together. A boy and his dragon, partners, friends, family. The bond that would change the galaxy forever had only just begun.